Okay, so good morning all. Let us start off with today's lecture. Share the screen first. Okay, so a quick recap of what we discussed in the previous lecture. We started off with the module that is module 4, and in that we are discussing the chapter called classes and methods. Right. So far we have discussed about classes and functions, classes and objects, then classes and functions, and then now we are discussing classes and methods. Right. So in this chapter we discussed about the object-oriented features. Right. What are the different features that we have when we talk about the object-oriented programming language, and how can we make use of methods using classes, right? Then we saw two syntactical differences between methods and functions, right? You might have this understanding that functions and methods are same, but they are mostly same when we talk about semantically, that is meaning wise. But when we talk about syntactically, they are a little different. The way they are invoked or called, the way they are declared or defined, is different, right? So we highlighted those two syntactical differences, and then we talked about printing objects, right? So we made use of the same example that we took, that is the programmer defined type, that is time, what we have defined. So we went ahead to discuss the objects of time and printing those objects, right? So we also had few example with respect to that printing those objects, and few more complicated examples related to the same. And then in today's lecture, we are going to start off with few methods, that is, few special methods, you can say, which can be useful, which can be, helpful when we talk about operating with the objects, right? For example, initialization, right? So for that, we have a method called init, which stands for initialization. So, like I mentioned, it is a special method which is used to uh, which is used to get invoked when an object is instantiated, right? So instantiated is whenever we assign a particular value to a variable, or to be specific to an object, then that process is called instantiation, right? So when this Python encounters there is an instantiation happening, it can call this method, that is init method, when we have declared this method in the program. So the way to represent this method is, if you can see, that is double underscore, then init, and then followed by that again two underscores. Right? That is the full name of this init method, that is the initialization method. Right. So we will take one example here, and we will discuss how this initialization can be useful, and how can we make use of these objects to play with it. Right. So we'll take the same program and define type class that we have declared earlier, that is time, right? So we are going to define this class time, and inside this class we are going to make use of a method, right? So please focus here. This is the uh, defining of a function inside the class, so that becomes a method, right? Hopefully you are now able to differentiate between how a method is declared and how a function is declared, right? So function is declared outside the class usually, and then it is called whenever it is required, whenever those set of particular tasks you want to perform. When we require those, then we call that function. But on the other side, the methods, they are declared inside the class, right? Or they are defined inside the class. So here you can see inside class type, we are defining this method called init, right? So this init, the definition of the init method is within this class. So that makes that this particular function you can call is actually a type of a method, right? It's a method. Now, when we define this init method, the parameters that we are passing, as you can see here, we are not just passing the parameter, but we are initializing it. Right? We are instantiating it again. We are assigning initial value of 0 to hour, minute, and second. Right? Where you can say we are setting a value. initial setup. So when we declare using the self object, so self dot r is equal to r, self dot minute is equal to minute, and self dot second is equal to second. So this is the simple declaration of simple initialization. That is nothing but we are trying to give initial values to these three arguments, that is r, minute, and second, right? So whenever this init is called, the value, whatever the value, the currently working values of r, minute, and second is there, whenever this init method is called, the values will be reset or overwritten by these values, that is 000. So this is nothing but a resetting of the time, we can say. So as it is mentioned, it is common for the parameters for this method to have the same name as attribute, right? As you can see here, we are using the same name as the attribute. The attribute name is hour, minute, and second. And also the parameters that we use here is hour, minute, and second. So that is usually, it is common when we make use of the such methods, right? Okay, so when we talk about the arguments that we are passing here, right? So the parameters that we are passing, they are optional. So if you can call time with no argument, right? When you call with no argument, then it is quite evident that the value which is going to set is 00 itself, right? That is the by default values which this init method is going to reset. So when you pass no argument, you get you are actually setting the values to 0. So this is what the time that you get when you try to when you try to invoke that method, that is time is equal to time. This is how we call that method. And time dot print underscore time, the value is actually resetting, or you can say it is just starting. The counter is set to 0 when you pass, let's say, just one argument, like, so though it takes three argument, as you can see here, it takes three argument, but when you pass just one argument, by default that argument will be considered as the argument for the first parameter, that is hour, right? So whatever the value of r is there at that moment, that will be overwritten by the updated value or the new value which you have passed as the argument. So this 000 is now updated to 900. Okay, so that is 9 hours, 0 minute, and 0 seconds. And when you try to pass two arguments, it is quite evident now that the second argument will be the minute argument. So the first argument will be hour, second argument will be the minute. Right? So that becomes 9:45 0 seconds. Right? 9 hours, 45 minutes, and 0 seconds. So similarly, when you try to pass three arguments, then it will actually take uh, accurate that value of hours and that value of minute and that respective value of second. Right? So the point here is the number of arguments that you are passing and the preferences given to the argument. So just to put it into a nutshell, if there is just one argument, by default that argument will be assigned to the first one, right? If there are two arguments, of course, that will be the first two values. And when there are all three arguments, then all the three parameters are values are replaced with that argument, right? So that's about the init method. So to discuss about one more special method called string. Now we will have an example of this init method as well as this string method also. But one such example of a special type of a method, you can say, is a string method. Now what it does, it returns a string representation, right? A string representation of an object. Now just to give you an example, this same method, way to declare the method, that is inside class time, we are defining the string method, that is again two underscores str, then again two underscores, right? And we are defining the return value for that, that is the digit value, the integer value. And the way to declare remains the same, that is self.hour, self.minute, and self.second. Well, self is the subject here, right? If you can recall from the previous class, we discussed what is a subject, right? So when we try to print an out, when you try to produce the output for that, the Python internally will invoke the str method, right? Whenever you are trying to print the statement, it is going to indirectly call the str method, that is string method, and what it will do is it is going to convert the output into a string format, right? So just to give you an example here, so time is equal to time 9 comma 45, right? And you are again printing it. So here you are passing the value, calling the function as well, calling the method as well as passing the argument, and then you are trying to print the values returned, right? And as you can see, it is uh, the value is getting printed here. Now you can question that, sir, how can we say that it is a string, or the output is remains same when we try to output using initialization method, that is init method, for example here, right? We saw the output same, right? Here as well as here, the output is same. So how can we say that it has called the str method? So the difference is that this value that we are printing here, it is an integer value, right? That's a value which is computed and printed. But when we call using a print statement, that is a inbuilt print command, and when internally the Python invokes the str method, that is string method, this value is converted into a string. So this 09 colon 45 colon 00 is no more an integer value, but it is a string value, right? So such more examples we have already discussed in the previous class when we have encountered problem for debugging, right? When we have discussed the topic of debugging, we have seen an example when we try to add two integers. So instead of adding of those two integers, when we use the string data type for those integers, those values, then the values were just getting amended, right? For example, 55 plus 47. So when you try to add these string values, 55 plus 47, the output that you might get is 5547, right? Which is not the actual output, right? So in order to get the actual addition, you need to add 55 plus 47, right? So that will give you the resulting value into integer, right? So that is the difference here, that this value here is actually a string value. It is not an integer 094500. It is a string value. But here, as you can see, it is the integer value, that is the value we have passed as the argument is actually getting printed. Right. So uh, one more aspect now, important aspect to be discussed here, that is operator overloading. Can anybody define what is operator overloading? This is not a new term for you guys. Operator overloading you have learned maybe in operating system as well as in object-oriented programming as well, and maybe in the C programming language in your second semester. Can anybody define in their own terms what does operator overloading mean? Yeah, anybody? Anybody would like to answer what is an operator overloading? This is a simple question which maybe you will face in your placements as well. What is polymorphism? What is encapsulation? What is operator overloading? These are very basic questions. Anybody would like to give a try? What is operator overloading? any volunteers before I cherry pick randomly? I think I have to select them. Yeah, Swapnil. Swapnil, can you answer?
Yes, sir.
What according to you, yeah, what according to you is operator overloading? Define in your own terms. If not with respect to Python, you can relate it to what you have learned earlier, that is with respect to C programming or any programming language that you have used operator overloading. What is your understanding of operator overloading?
Sir, in this were different operators.
Yeah, go ahead.
Operators have their different implementations.
Like, can you give me an
Operators,
example?
sir, like
Sir, plus operator.
Yeah, that plus is an operator, but how can you can you give an example? What is operator overloading? Okay, let's take
sir,
with respect to plus itself.
add function.
Sir, it will concatenate two
But how
strings
does it
and
define
add.
overloading? How
Sir,
does it define operator overloading?
function with different parameters.
Functions with different parameters? Not pretty much. Anybody else want to give a try? What is operator overloading? Yeah, this is not very advanced topic. Also, this is very basic fundamental which you have learned in initial semesters of your engineering, and they are still very popular questions when you talk about placements. So these fundamentals are expected from you. Like I mentioned, encapsulation, polymorphism, uh, operator overloading, inheritance. These are basics of all the programming languages. If you take any programming language, you have these concepts there, right? Okay, so with respect to the same example which you have taken, plus operator, we will have an understanding of this plus operator using a method, right? So we are going to perform this operator overloading using a method. Since we are discussing classes and methods, we will have a method for the operator plus. Okay, so let's name it as we have add method, and for the same class, let's say for time, and we are going to use a plus operator to add the time object here, right? So how do we actually define it? As you can see here, that this is our main program here, and what we are trying to do here is we are going to add a timing, right? A time which is in seconds from self dot time to integer. right? Time to integer for the self argument and any other argument, right? And in between, as you can see, we are using a plus operator. Now, some might get confused that this is concatenation. No, this is not concatenation. This is a simple addition. But here we are using the operator. But the main area of focus here is how this operator is going to indirectly call the add method. So that is what our main area of focus is, right? So when we define this add method, right, which is nothing but adding simple two timings, right, simple addition of two timings, but using the operator. So there's a lot of things that will be happening in the background, but it might look simple at the front, but a lot of processing, that is indirect computations, is what is happening in the background. Let us understand how. So when we say, let's say start time 9 comma 45, so we are giving two argument, that is 9 and 45. So when we are given two argument, that is first one being hour, second being the minute, right? And we are also providing the duration, that is time 1 hour 35 minutes, right? And we want to add the start as well as the duration. Now this start is, let's say, 9:45 and duration is 1 hour 35. So we want to just have the addition of these two types, right? Which we have, this problem we have already seen in the previous topics, right? But here we are going to use this plus operator, right? So there are actually two things that is happening here. Let me make it here. So when we talk about this, this is the calling a function, right? We are calling time method two times, for one for start, one for duration, right? And now we want to add it. So we simply print as well as add. Now this addition, it is not just simple addition or concatenation. Concatenation is a whole different concept. But here, this addition right here is going to invoke this add method indirectly, right? So when the Python encounters this operator, plus operator, it is going to call the add method, and then similarly all the other instructions followed by this will be executed, and then whatever the value that we get, right, that is printed. Now there's one more thing here, that the print statement is again not going to simply print it. It is going to call the str method, that is string method, in order to convert this output, which is in integer, right? Because we are converting this time to integer, right? So whatever the value that we have here, it is an integer value, but we don't want an integer value, we want a string value. So this integer value is indirectly converted into a string when we try to print it, right? So it is similar to what we saw in the previous example, that is this. So when we call this print time, it is getting converted into a string, right? This is a string. So similarly, when we try to print this statement right here, after the computation, the print is going to convert that integer value into a string value, and then we get the string here. So these are actually two things, right, operating. That is called operator overloading, right? So there are two things happening. One is the plus operator is actually calling, the Python is calling the add method when it encounters the plus operator, right? And also it is converting that integer value into a string value by calling the string method. So we are doing two tasks using this one operator, right? So when we use, or when we apply this plus operator to any object for that matter, the Python will invoke that operator. So in this case, it is plus operator. So it will have add method invoked. If you have minus, it can be subtract, and whatever the defined operator and its respective method you are going to define will be called, right? And simultaneously, when you try to print the result, the Python will invoke the str method as well, right? So how can we define this operator overloading now is changing the behavior of an operator so that it works with the programmer defined type, right? So I hope now it is clear that what we are trying to do here and what actually the operator overloading means, right? So we are trying to change the behavior of an operator so that it works with the programmer defined type, right? So that is called operator overloading. Now these are not just the methods, but there are a lot of many more special methods which can be used and which can be internally we can we can make use of operator overloading, or I can say we can perform operator overloading using those methods, right? So if I have to just show you some methods from the Python website, these are the special methods and their names, right? So you can visit this. I'll just put this into the chat box, right? Yeah. So you can go visit these special methods, and if you want to make use of these methods, try it out different using objects. You can try it out. For let me zoom it in more a little bit. Yeah. So underscore new. Then we have init method, as I mentioned. Then we also have delete method, right? Then we have underscore repr. Then again underscore method, which is used for string representation. Then the str method, what we just saw. Then bytes format, right, and so on. There are many special methods. Hash, some might not be useful currently, but you can just have a look on these special methods, right? So you can use these methods and different types of operators to perform operator overloading, unless you really want to learn these operator overloading, right? So it is not always recommended to make use of operator overloading, but sometimes wherever it is required, we can make use of operator overloading. But despite the fact, at least you should know what is that we call operator overloading, right? Because you take any language, as I said, you take any programming language, operator overloading, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, these are basics of programming. So irrespective of the language, these concepts you need to know, right? So that's why it becomes one of the favorite questions of these interviewers when they ask these questions in the placements, right? So irrespective of the language, be it Java, Python, R, right, any C, so these methods, these concepts remains the same. So they expect you to know these concepts, if not the whole language. So we will have more look into it. We will have further more examples and more of these concepts, inheritance, polymorphism, and so on, with respect to Python, right? So our main area of focus will be what are these concepts with respect to Python is what we are going to say. So if you have any doubt with respect to what we discussed now, you can ask. Anybody who's having any doubt? Yeah, please reply. Anybody having any doubt? I hope all those who have missed the attendance, you have put up in the chat box. Yeah, anybody any doubt? Only Sanket has no doubts. Swapnil has no doubt. What about others? Others have doubts. If you have doubts, ask please. Please feel free to ask any doubt. Let it be silly one. I have been repeating this many times because you shouldn't carry your doubts. If you are carrying one doubt, that will create more doubts when you discuss the further advanced topics. Right? So let it be a silliest doubt. You ask it, we will clarify, and only then we will move forward. Okay. So if there are no doubts, then we conclude. Please do visit this site and have a look on this different methods, special methods that the author has put up there. It is the reference link from the Python organization itself. So there are a lot of more documentation already done and available for your reference. You can make use of it. It is freely available. In case if you're working side by side for any hobby project or something, even for your final year project, if you have started, then you can make use of this available references and documents in order to learn. Right? You don't have to go visit and do any specific course to understand these things. Right? So there are a lot of already officially free data available from the organizations itself. Right? So yeah. So regarding offline classes, one announcement that offline classes are already started, as you must have gone through the notifications. But in case if you are attending offline classes, you need to bring the consent letter, a letter from your parents, for which the format is already sent in the group. Right. So you have to get your COVID test done also, and you have to bring your COVID negative report to attend the offline classes, right? Regarding the buses, meanwhile, there is no buses available, but in case if you want to make use of buses, the college is providing KSRTC bus passes, applications for the KSRTC bus passes. So for that also, the details have already been put up in the group, right? So please, you want to attend the classes here offline, you can make sure that you have all these documents available, right? And only then you can come here. So please have a checkup of your COVID test in case if you're wanting to attend these offline classes, right? And then the consent letter. Right. So if you have any doubt with respect to offline classes or anything, you can ask me anytime. Right. So we shall conclude the lectures. Thanks for joining.